For those of you who don't know, the Subaru BRZ was actually designed by Toyota and then manufactured by Subaru. Because of this, there are 4 names for this same exact platform: the GT86, the FT86, the BRZ, and the FRS. And depending on where you are in the world, you would call this car something completely different. Luckily, there is a Subaru branded model, because if it had been an exclusive Toyota thing, we wouldn't have seen it in this game. Welcome to the Militia Gaming community. I'm Trigger, and in this video, we're going to look at the 2014 BRZ in Need for Speed Heat. Let's go! The Militia Gaming community and Dave Loves Games came together to create a community Discord. If you'd like to join the Discord, there's an invite link in the description down below. This is the best way to keep up on what's going on with both of our channels, so make sure you hit that invite link and we'll catch you over there. This is the 27th car I've tested like this, so I think by now most of you who are watching are familiar with my testing practices. If you're new to this and want to know how I go about testing these cars, check out one of my older wrong build videos. I'll start by saying the engines for this BRZ were either absolute garbage or very similar to each other. The differences in handling were pretty obvious, with the flat 6 engines handling super weird and the V8 engines feeling much better. There's something about the extra weight of the V8 that just feels better, and I can't quite put my finger on it. After a ton of testing and a lot of thinking, I've come up with an engine recommendation that is unlike any other car that I've tested. Ultimately, the engine competition came down to 2 engines: the 577 horsepower 4.0 liter V8 and the 599 horsepower 3.8 liter flat 6. I must have changed my mind like 5 times when testing and deciding which engine to recommend to you, so in the end my recommendation is that you should build both of these engines and drive them for a while. There are 2 main differences between these engines, and that is the handling and the top speed versus the quickness. The V8 has better straight line and top speed than the flat 6, and the flat 6 has better acceleration out of turns. That makes the V8 better for longer, straighter races, and the flat 6 is better for tighter, smaller races. On Arian, I ran a 258.2 with the flat 6 and was 1.5 seconds slower with the V8. That time is about middle of the pack in terms of all the cars that I've tested, and 17th on the top 20 list. Keep in mind, this is my personal top 20 and I do not test with shortcuts. There are plenty of other people that drive better and run faster times using these shortcuts. Not that I'm against shortcuts, it just makes comparing the engines very difficult. My goal is consistency, not the fastest possible time. So I take the same lines every single lap so that I can distinguish the differences between each of the engines. On Aardvark, I ran a 438.7 using the V8 engine and was 2 seconds slower with the flat 6. Again, putting this BRZ in the middle of the pack in terms of track racing at 16th on Aardvark. I also tested the gearboxes for these 2 engines, and the 6-speed was definitely the best. It came out of the corners faster and was more often in the right gear than not. I test these for automatic transmissions. Obviously, if you're racing with a manual transmission, then you can control the gear properly, but if you're relying on the computer to pick a gear coming out of a corner, the 6-speed is definitely the best for both engines. So with that said, my full track build looks like this: 577 horsepower 4.0 liter V8 engine, Ultimate Plus engine parts, Ultimate dual turbo, and Ultimate 5x3 pound NOS. Super track suspension, elite brakes, and keep in mind the brake recommendation is also for an automatic transmission. If you're using a manual transmission, you have the ability to use your engine to slow you down, and therefore I would recommend either the Sport or the Pro brakes if you're using a manual transmission. Alright, elite track tires, and I recommend track for this car because it's already pretty slidey and you need a little extra grip. Elite Plus clutch, Super Plus 6-speed gearbox, Super track differential, minimum steering sensitivity, and maximum downforce. As a track car, it's definitely not super slow, but really isn't the best car for tighter tracks. Its strength is top speed, so using it for tracks that are more open and straight is going to be ideal. Let's go ahead and move on to drag racing. The track build is pretty poor at the start of races, so I really didn't expect much for its drag abilities. But the quarter-mile time really isn't that bad. I was able to get it down to 8.67, and with a 15-pound NOS bottle, it actually is quite fast. Its 0 to 60 is not that fast, but it makes up for it with its top-end speed near the end of the drag race. The longer you drag race somebody, the better chance you'll have of winning. This thing is a rocket ship from about 150 miles per hour to 234, 235 miles per hour. My drag build looks like this. Same 577 horsepower engine, Ultimate Plus engine parts and Ultimate Dual Turbo, Ultimate 1x15 pound NOS, Super Track suspension, Elite brakes, Elite drag tires, Elite Plus clutch, Super Plus 6-speed gearbox, Super Track differential with minimum steering sensitivity and minimum downforce. Moving on to drift. After playing around with a few different setups, I've come to the conclusion that this car is definitely an above average car for scoring in drift, however it's not the best. The setup I finally landed on was the same 577 horsepower 4.0 liter V8 engine, the Ultimate Plus parts, Ultimate Dual Turbo and Ultimate 5x3 pound NOS, Super Speed Cross suspension, Elite brakes, Elite drag tires, Elite Plus clutch, Super Plus 6-speed gearbox, Super Showcase differential, maximum steering sensitivity, and minimum downforce. And those are really key to the build. The steering sensitivity being maximum makes it so that it's super twitchy and you have the ability to swap from left to right very quickly, and the minimum downforce makes the back end very slidey. I was able to 3-star every drift section I attempted, but not without a little bit of effort on my part. It seems better than most of the cars, but still not as good as the RX-7. I think I'll stick to that if I want to score high on drift sections, and I'll drive my Evo 9 if I'm going for drift style. Lastly, I tested this car in the dirt, and guess what? It absolutely killed it. This car is a rocket ship in the dirt. I ran a 151.1 on HTV2 and a 311.6 on Rumble, giving it a combined time of 502.7, which beats out the RSR for second place by 1/10 of a second. What a pleasant surprise to see this thing run such fast times in the dirt. The build I was using is as follows. 577 engine again, Ultimate Plus engine parts, Ultimate Dual Turbo and 5x3 pound NOS with Super Rally suspension, Elite brakes, Elite off-road tires, Elite Plus clutch, Super Plus 6-speed gearbox, Super Rally differential, maximum steering sensitivity and minimum downforce. Unfortunately, I thought this car would be better on the track. I had heard many people sing its praises, but it seems like the only thing it's really elite at is off-road racing. I can't ignore its top speed prowess though. From about 150 miles per hour to 230 miles per hour, I believe it's one of the fastest cars in the game. So I'd say go ahead and use it for longer, straighter courses. Maybe go with something else for the tighter, shorter courses. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching, and huge shout out to the Militia subs. I raise a barks to you. If you're new to the channel, I've been hosting races every week on stream. You should definitely check that out. I announce the races on Tuesday morning, and the stream is usually on the weekends. We race for fun and bragging rights, so you should definitely come out and have fun with a huge community of hundreds of people racing. Thanks again for watching. Catch you on the next one. Trigger out.